There have been as many as 8 suicide bombings in Sri Lanka. More than 290 people have been killed or injured. 500 people have been injured. And so it's a devastating story. But conservatives of the Daily Caller have decided to focus on the most irrelevant thing imaginable, and that is the type of language used to describe the people who were targeted. Now, the headline reads, "One word noticeably absent as Trump, Obama, Hillary, and 2020 Democrats respond to Sri Lanka attacks." Okay, so let's take a look at Obama's tweet on this. "The attacks on tourists and Easter worshipers in Sri Lanka are an attack on humanity. On a day devoted to love, redemption, and renewal, we pray for the victims and stand with the people of Sri Lanka." So what could he have possibly said wrong in that tweet?
Can I just look? Trump has put out 1,000 tweets of the most atrocious things you've ever heard, and wild misspellings, insane things like just the word kofefe, which he then said was a secret sign and code. And so they didn't have a problem with any of those insane tweets.
Right.
But that benign tweet, not even benign, positive tweet saying, "My God, my heart goes out to these people who are worshiping on these." What did they find wrong in that?
Well, they also mentioned Hillary Clinton and how her tweet was wrong. So let's read hers and see what's wrong with it.
Oh, this ought to be really shameful, I'm sure.
"On this holy weekend for many faiths, we must stand united against hatred and violence. I'm praying for everyone affected by today's horrific attacks on Easter worshipers and travelers in Sri Lanka." I don't get it. I mean, I can't find anything in there that I'm offended by. So why don't we go ahead and read from the Daily Caller? What's so offensive? "Former President Barack Obama, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and all of the 2020 Democratic hopefuls tweeted in response to the attacks, and although at least some of the bombings specifically targeted Christians on the holiest day of the year, Easter Sunday, hardly any of their tweets mentioned Christianity."
It's
what?
What? It's on Easter worshipers. Easter is a Christian holiday. Like, what did they think that Muslims were targeted on Easter or Hindus are targeted on Easter? What are you talking about? There's no bunny in Islam. Okay, so what? I mean, what on God's green earth?
No, but the amazing thing is, if you just go back and read headlines from the Daily Caller, let's look at this one from 2016. "Tainted alcohol poisons dozens of Christmas worshipers."
Well, why didn't they say Christians? Oh
why
my
did
God,
they
these
say
son of
Christians?
bitches.
How dare they?
Okay, I'm so offended by the Daily Caller and their obvious Christianophobia.
The Washington Times, another right-wing outlet, tweeted, "Easter worshipers shocked as car rams church injuring 21."
How could they?
Now that's a tweet from 2014, but
how could they? They didn't even mention Christians.
I don't know.
Only vaguely referring to Easter.
There's a war on Christians here in America, you know?
That's what you're offended by? 290 people died.
I have one more though. And this is a tweet from April 21st, 2019. Donald Trump.
Of course.
"Heartfelt condolences for the people of the United States to the people of Sri Lanka on the horrible terrorist attacks on churches and hotels that have killed at least 138 million people and badly injured 600 more. We stand ready to help."
So look, that's an obvious screw up. At the time, it was 138 people, according to the reports, but that was up for 20 minutes. Is there no one who's going to double check that it wasn't 138 million people? That would have been the largest genocide in world history, etc. But that is not an issue.
Cenk, okay. I didn't even bring that up to point to the mistake, right? I brought that up because there's no mention of Christians. There's no mention of Christians. This president needs to be impeached, no mention of Christians.
I mean, 138 million Christians were killed and still no mention of Christians. Okay, so look guys, it's a serious story, but we have
clowns.
We have weirdos and clowns on the right wing. And then they turn this into like, and then the mainstream media oftentimes gets sucked into, oh, it's a debate. I saw it all over online, and I didn't know where it had started until we started investigating this. And the right-wing trash outlets print nonsense day in, day out, and the mainstream media is like, oh my God, what did they say? Oh my God, oh, this is a debate, let's have a debate. Does Easter mean Christian or does it mean Hindu? Let's debate. 50-50, let's bring on Trump supporters. Okay, well, is there a chocolate laying egg on in bunny in Hindu tradition? It could be.
Facebook is now working with the Daily Caller to do fact checking.
Oh, come on.
I'm not kidding. It's a story that John reported on Friday. Yeah.
Absolutely grotesque.
Yes.
So meanwhile, progressive organizations bring facts and they're like, ooh, facts, ooh, documents, right? So now there's giant right-wing bias in the media. They love the right wing. They love these nonsense debates that they start because it's a soap opera. And the cable news loves soap operas. They're like, progressives, you're so boring with all your facts and documents and statistics and polling. Snooze fest. Let's debate things that don't make any sense. Next on CNN. And I'm just, look, I happen to say CNN, but it's all the media, all the mainstream media. They all, and it's not even just cable news. A lot of the papers then go and have these 50-50 debates over things that are not 50-50, made up controversies. My God, Rudy Giuliani goes on television in the weekend, and Trump is documented as having said dozens of lies in the Mueller report. Outrageous lies about things that are of great import, things where he orders people to break the law and lie about it, etc. Giuliani says, well, the press said Obama saying you can keep your doctor, and it turns out you got, a better coverage with someone else. But that was, see, that he lied, right? Now, of course, Giuliani didn't add that you got better coverage, which was the case.
Yeah.
But why? Because the mainstream media back then called out the lie of the year. It turns out Obama lied. You got even better coverage under his proposal than he said. And why? Because they got to make it 50-50. That is equivalent to thousands of lies that Donald Trump has told? No. So look, you actually have every right in the world to be absolutely outraged at Muslim extremists who did this bombing. But no, it's never enough. Somehow they have to blame Obama and Hillary and say, oh, they didn't, say Christians enough. It's not enough to say happy holidays in the Christmas season. No, you must say Merry Christmas. I mean, what on God's, and these are the guys who talk about safe spaces.
Well, what they do, this is, by the way, this is identity politics. This is 100% identity politics. And what they want to do is they want to specifically use words and phrases like radical Islamic terrorism. So Islam and Muslims are always the antagonists, and they want to use Christians in cases like this where they're the victims. And they specifically want that word because they want to put Christians in the place of being victimized by those terrible Muslims. Like that's what, it's the narrative. That's really what's at play here. Now, of course, everyone knows that Easter worshipers are Christian.
I mean, could you imagine if the left wing, when every time a right wing terrorist in this country committed an act of murder, which was in the year 2018, for example, every act of murder by a terrorist in this country was done by a right winger. If every time we said, Trump didn't say they were Christians, they were Christian murderers, Christian terrorists. You have to say they're Christian terrorists, right? Why do you have, no, that would be weird. That would be identity politics. But there's never that request. Whenever it's a Muslim, you must say it's Islamic radical extremism, and you must say that the victims are Christian. Look, just cover the facts and cover the news. In this case, it was Islamic extremists and Christians were the victims. But that's what Hillary Clinton and Obama said. You don't have to manufacture things. And the reason why they manufacture outrage is because it plays well and it allows for them to play identity politics and rile up their base based on the culture wars. And that's why they do it. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcasts.